Happy holidays, everyone. Christmas has come early this year, and I come bearing gifts. Please enjoy the trailer for my new movie, Falling for Christmas, coming to Netflix this November. When people look at me, all they see is the spoiled daughter of the hotel magnate. I'm coming in hot. I just want people to remember me for more than my last name.
My lady.
Where exactly are we going?
Sierra Belmont. The last year with you has been truly magical. Will you marry me?
Oh, Tad! Oh, Tad!
I've got you! Whoa.
Is it a dead body?
Sheriff, could you please tell her to let me out of here?
First, we need to figure out who you are.
What do you mean, who I am? My name is...
So what are we supposed to do with her?
I have a place.
Does it have room service?
Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock.
Where am I?
Alrighty, you went through the lost and found?
Are these used?
Probably, but, sometimes guests leave things here by accident, so.
Not sure this was left here by accident. The doctor did say that if I did normal things, my memory might come back.
Doctor's orders.
Have you ever actually made a bed, dear?
I don't think so. It's been almost 2 days. What, no one's found me yet? Like unclaimed luggage.
They're probably out looking for you right now.
Find my daughter.
You like her, don't you?
Well, yeah,
I think you should tell her. Wow. Look.
beautiful.
Jingle horse, pick up your feet.
Sometimes you can't rush things. I just need to find my own way.
Sierra!
That's the jingle bell.
Yeah!
That's the jingle bell rock.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Stocking Stuffers, Season 8, Cozy Cardigan Christmas Season. On this episode, I am no longer alone. I have finally found a holiday friend to watch a Netflix movie with me. We will get into what that movie is. Actually, you heard the trailer, if I remember to put it in there. And so, to discuss Lindsay Lohan's triumphant comeback that will surely change everything this time, I have brought none other than the one, the only, Jason Fozzie Bare Nelson. Jason.
Oh, fa la 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 Lohan. I'm so excited to be here.
And you even knew to sing a public domain song, so I don't have to get worried about getting sued. That's when you know a pro, folks. That's when you know a pro. Jason, you've been here before. Do you remember some of the other movies you have stopped by to cover with me on the Stocking Stuffers?
I do not remember a single title. I'll tell you that.
Because you're my good luck charm. Like, we somehow stumble on the really exciting ones together.
We do. I don't remember any of the titles, but I remember there was the mannequin. What was that called?
Holly's Holiday? Maybe?
Holly's Holiday. Good call. There was the time traveling angel.
Yeah, and I can't remember the name of that one because it was a really generic title, but it was a very exciting episode. I'll find that and drop it in. We did. It was awesome.
Him. Yeah, and what else? Did we do one more? Or is that
we did. I think what I'm going to declare probably, like, if I had to say what was my favorite of all time that I've ever covered on the Stocking Stuffers, The Truth About Christmas.
Mm-hmm. Yes!
The one that ends without a romance.
Yes, I love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so sometimes I pull you in part because I'm thinking, okay, well, if he's here, something exciting is going to happen. And this is one of the bigger profile releases of the season. This is a Netflix with money behind it movie, and not like a lot of money, but there's tells to the fact that this movie spent money. We will get to that when we talk about, especially the music, if you will.
Right.
This was not a cheaply made, quick, go to the bargain bin and find whatever holiday CDs they're paying you to take. But it is still very much in the formula. Also, I should say, I have previously covered a movie called Falling for Christmas. It did not involve Lindsay Lohan. It was about ice skating, and it was another one that I kind of liked. But that is...
I looked that up today. I knew there was another one. I haven't seen it, but there's somebody in it that was like really good. Who was in that?
No, I think Elvis was Elvis Stoico in that one?
No. Maybe.
It wasn't like it was like an Ion. It wasn't Hallmark. It wasn't Lifetime. It was one of the other like little cheap networks.
Oh, Lachlan Monroe was in that one.
That's a thing.
I liked him.
Who's he? Was he the lead?
Oh, scary movie, I think. And he was the roommate in Dead Roommate on Campus or whatever it's called.
Dead Man on Campus.
Dead Man on Campus, yeah, where Paul Gosselaar or John Paul
with Zach Morris, yes.
Zach Morris wants to get a roommate that's going to die, and he's the like.
Oh, I remember. I think I worked in a movie theater when that came out and saw that for free. It's not very good, but.
Yeah, I like Lachlan Monroe. And he's a dad on some like teen show now. I can't tell you which one, but he's like aged into like CW dad. Okay.
Well, if he was the main guy in this movie Falling for Christmas, he was very cute. And it was one of those weird movies where like the leads actually had a lot of chemistry. And I was like, I would like to see them have sex. Like this is we're doing well. But that is not the movie we're covering today. We're covering a movie today about two leads that might have chemistry. We're going to talk about whether they do. Falling for Christmas. Before we dive in, and as we know, we're going to go through the 10 tropes. We're going to go through the bonus round. Before that, let me give you a little background, and then we'll go through a quick synopsis. So this is Netflix, 2022. It is, the director is Janine Damian, so female director, which is cool. I think this is her first directorial film. She's done a lot of producing on a lot of Christmas movies. So she is from the world of cozy cardigans, but taking off her cardigan and putting on her director's scarf for this
Santa
one.
hat.
Is that what they do? I don't know. More excitingly... So the screenwriters, it's two screenwriters, one person who just has a couple of other Christmas credits. More importantly, did you look at the other co-writer Ron Oliver's filmography?
I did. And the one thing that stood out to me, I saw a lot of movies that you probably covered, and one movie that you absolutely love. Are we talking about Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2,
baby? Yes!
Good.
Yes!
That was amazing.
Yes. I am glad I didn't know that until after I watched this movie, because otherwise I think my hopes would have been raised a lot.
Yeah.
And I would have really hoped to get a lot more. People, if you have not seen Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2, you are missing out. It is glorious.
The one thing I remember most about that movie is that Charlize Theron was on, I think, How Did This Get Made? About that movie. She was one of the guest hosts.
She was.
Yeah, and everybody loved it. They all loved it when they talked about it. And Charlize Theron said that there was one actress in that movie that she wanted to give her Oscar to. Yes. She was like, I wanted to relinquish my Oscar to this woman. She was so good.
Yeah, it's a joy of a movie. I will watch Merry Night, Prom Night, Lou.
Nailed it.
Yeah, like it's been. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, it's been like 3 years since I watched that. What's wrong with me? I need to stop everything and rewatch it. I don't know that I'll say the same about Falling for Christmas, but we can get into that before we go in. Jason, would you like to give a very detailed or not that detailed plot synopsis of this movie?
Oh man, I would love to. Okay, so Lindsay Lohan basically plays Paris Hilton, and she is a hotel heiress.
She really played Paris Hilton, but we'll get to
100% did. And I wondered, I was like, this has to be deliberate. And like they were friends, photographed out together, you know, flashing their no underwear to the paparazzi.
We all did it in the early 2000s. Come on.
Exactly. So they were friends for a while. I was wondering how Paris took this, but I'm sure Paris doesn't care about anything. She's like, say what you want about me. I'm a billionaire. Right. Yeah, I don't care. So anyway, she plays Paris Hilton, and who is a hotel heiress, and her father wants her to take a job as the what is it?
Director of Atmosphere.
Director of Atmosphere at one of his resorts, which is a made-up job. He just wants her to have a job and take care of her since her mother died. There's one of your tropes. So she has a boyfriend named Tad, who blew my goddamn mind that was Kekoa Shaw. I knew this guy looked familiar, but he's Kekoa Shaw from Malignant, the police detective in Malignant.
Oh, wow. Yes. Wow. Okay. Tides are turning. I'll say that.
Yep.
Tides are turning.
Blew my mind. And
Kekoa
he's
Shaw,
fantastic.
who I can't believe I didn't know who you. As soon as he said that, I'm like, I know the name Kekoa Shaw. Of course I do, because he
Right.
says that name like 17 times in *Malignant*, and every
Exactly.
time you laugh out loud because you're like, I guess if I was named Kekoa Shaw, I would say it a lot because it's a great
I would tell
combination
everybody.
of syllables.
I would print up T-shirts. So
My name is Kekoa Shaw.
Kekoa Shaw. He's her boyfriend. He is an influencer, and he's just like all about his numbers, and he's constantly looking at what's going up and what's going down. So one day he comes to visit her at the hotel. It's right before Christmas, I guess a week or so. They decide to go to this place where he has heard that there are really great shots for your Instagram or your social media. While they're there, there's a horrible accident. They both fall off of a cliff. Lindsay Lohan is knocked unconscious. They're both knocked unconscious, but they're separated. And then Lindsay Lohan is found, taken to the hospital, and so she has been recovered by Cord Overstreet, who owns a competing hotel. I don't even know it's a competing hotel. It's more of an inn, a cozy little boîte that's scrappy and struggling.
And they don't have a website, so perhaps that's part of the problem. But details.
Probably. So they have no web presence, but he offers to let her stay at the hotel because the hospital doesn't want to keep her because she's such an asshole.
Well, she's not even that much of an asshole. The hospital's just like, yeah, well, we don't know what to do. Like, I don't know. It's Christmas. Everybody's going home. And, we put out a missing persons report, but nobody's going to read it. It's Christmas. I don't think that's how this kind of thing works, but carry on.
I'm pretty sure it doesn't. But Cord Overstreet of Glee fame, another Emily Cayenne, is the innkeeper, and he has a dead wife. There's another trope. And he has a precocious little daughter. There's another trope.
Yep.
And he has a wise old mother-in-law. There's another trope.
9.
And he works with his hands a lot. There's another trope.
3.
And he lets Lindsay stay there, and she becomes close to Cord. She becomes close to the mother-in-law and to the little kid Ava. They start to really bond, and she starts to help him bring back his hotel. Not knowing who she is or her memories, she starts to fix it up, and she gets these great ideas to like have a party and promote it, and et cetera, to make him save his business. Meanwhile, the most interesting story in the world is taking place, where Tad discovers a crazy mountain man.
A crazy mountain poacher man. I don't know what he was poaching.
Yes.
Like, what's out there that you can't hunt?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, you can hunt deer. I don't do you need a license in that part of the country? I don't know.
Maybe it's that's why there are no endangered elephants in Vermont. Because of Ralph.
This guy. Crazy old Ralph.
So Tad finds this man, and this guy agrees to help him get back to society and like get back to, because he hasn't lost his memory. He knows who he is. Tad does. And this guy's helping him trek through the forest. And all the while, they are slowly falling in love. It is not on screen, and it is not explicitly stated, but it's happening. And if you watch this movie, you have to go in knowing that these two characters are going to fall in love. Post-credits, when the movie's over, Tad realizes the folly of his ways, and he rushes back to Ralph's side. So that's the story in my mind.
And it's very strange, because Tad's storyline doesn't go that far directionally. Right? Tad.
No.
Now, Lindsay Lohan saves Christmas, and right as she... oh my God, the way amnesia works in this movie. So, what happened? She helps Cord Overstreet save the hotel, just
in a
as
very It's a Wonderful Life manner.
Right.
Everybody from town comes and says, like, hey, I forgot I owed you $6,000. Here you go. And they give him a check. They just... I'll hand him money for all the things he's done for the townsfolk over these people.
I'm going to say, this movie didn't particularly work for me, but I was caught at a sensitive moment where that scene where everybody in town is like, I was really down on my luck and you let me stay here, and one day you just towed my car and you didn't even ask for anything. I'm not going to lie. It's an emotional time of year. I felt something in my eyeball when that happened.
Let me just say, too, that... I do this with a lot of movies, and I know I've been quoted on other podcasts saying this, but this is a fantastic movie if you imagine it as a better movie. So, you know what I'm saying?
100%. Because I think part of why this one for me was it was a little bit of a chore. This is a short one. Now, Netflix sometimes commits the sin of being longer than 90 minutes because they can be. They're not beholden to the same rules. And that can be, and usually it drags. And this one is 90 minutes, but it really dragged for me. And I know what my problem was.
What was that? Without naming names.
Oh, but I have to. I don't even know if it was her fault. Or if it was the writing's fault or the directing's fault. Look, man, you're like the whole, and we can dive into this. Number one, female in need of a lesson. When you are doing this either one way of two ways. It's either a really sweet girl who is perfect and is going to teach everybody around her to love Christmas, or it is a mean woman who needs to learn the folly of her ways and behave. And that mean woman could be corporate bitch. She can be like wild, irresponsible, wild child. And you have Lindsay fucking Lohan, who Kaz Bite, who the whole reason she was interesting, the whole reason I think we were all into her in the early 2000s, it wasn't that, she was crazy, that, like she behaved badly and all this. It was that she felt different than like a packaged child actor. She had this raspiness to her voice, and she kind of like felt like an old soul, and
she was a little thick too. She wasn't like, even though she had a beautiful figure, but she was bosomy, she was a little curvy.
She didn't look like she came off an assembly line, even though she was, grew up in the industry. There was something like dangerous about her, and this movie just does not want to deal with that at all. And even though she is the spoiled rich girl, she's not a mean spoiled rich girl.
Well, let me tell you my idea to fix this movie. Mm-hmm. This is one of the ideas that would make it a better movie. So they had it there. It was almost the idea that they had. I would like to see her character actually kind of meeting in the middle of your two ideas, where she is a spoiled rich girl, but she is frustrated and exhausted from her dad taking care of her and having like an entourage to come dress her in the morning. She never gets to do anything for herself. I wanted her to want to break out of that role. And this opportunity, when she gets amnesia, to work at this frickin' hotel and to like actually trim a tree and to, clean rooms. That is her opportunity to like take control and actually do something for herself for the first time in her life and realize that's what she really wants.
It should be two different performances. Right? It should be. Now, it doesn't have to be Vanessa Hudgens in Princess Switch 5 times and 5 different Vanessa Hudgenses, but it should be Goldie Hawn in Overboard Scene 1, Goldie Hawn in Overboard 10 minutes into the movie. She should be a different person when she forgets everything about who she is, and that would have made it so much more interesting. Instead, she's just kind of dumb, but not even like dumb. It's more like, oh, she's kind of, inexperienced, she doesn't know how to do anything. And she still doesn't know how to do anything, but now she's not doing different things. Now she doesn't know how to do different things that other people know how to do. And she'll slowly learn. And that's that. And it was disappointing.
It was disappointing, but I could have imagined it so much better. It was almost there. So when I imagine it as a better movie, and I'll tell you the other thing that I need to imagine to make it better is Tad finally getting with this mountain man. And I know that sounds like a joke, but that would have fit his character so well to realize he doesn't need to be with someone who's going to boost his numbers. He needs to be true to himself. He needs to be honest about who he is, and he doesn't need to like fake these Instagram posts to get followers. He needs to be true to himself and love who he loves. And that is Ralph the Crazy Mountain Man.
So what's interesting about that too is, and again, this is Netflix, so they can be a little bit more, kind of there. Again, they don't have to worry about sponsors. They know that their audience is a little younger, is a little bit hipper, generally, probably a little more liberal. So they're
Candace Cameron Bure doesn't even have.
Oh my gosh, she doesn't know. Like you say Netflix, and she immediately does an exorcism on you.
Yes,
it hurts.
Like she used to have her brother's log in, but then his wife made him change it.
Yep.
And so she doesn't even have a password anymore. We can do whatever we want, guys, on Netflix. We don't have to worry about her.
And Tad is bisexual. Right? So Lindsay Lohan dumps Tad. She's like, no, I'm not going to marry you. I'm going to marry Cord Overstreet, I guess. And Tad immediately, makes eyes with the hotel, the main, what do you call that? Like, the main, he's not the hotel manager. Concierge, yeah.
Yeah.
And immediately they have a connection, and they're like, yep, let's go away together. Quick, hop in the car.
Yeah. if you're gonna go there,
yeah,
just make it Ralph.
Just make it Ralph, because they do have chemistry.
They did.
Like, they have
When
the
he
more
threw
chemistry in
axe-
this movie than anybody else, any other two actors in this movie together.
The most romantic scene I've ever seen on film is when Ralph gives Tad his snowshoes and says, "I'll be all right." And my heart broke.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, it moved a little just watching the two of them.
I get it. Yeah.
I loved them, and they just crapped out and didn't go there.
He went for the pretty boy instead.
That would have made it a better movie too.
Okay. So we've got two things that of ways that we're just going to pretend this movie did to be better. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And there's a lot of little things too. Like when she is wrapping presents at the little town Christmas fair, there's a moment when somebody comes up, they're like, "Hey, I have a present for you," and they hand her a skateboard. It would have been a perfect opportunity for a joke for her just to say, like, "Okay, how do I wrap this?" A little throwaway joke, just a little punching up on that script.
Yeah.
I could have done it.
I know.
It would have been so much better. There was just a little punchier, and it would have been memorable.
Also, we need to address the gift wrapping.
Mm-hmm.
So aside from, I tell the story every year, the only job I've ever been fired from was charity gift wrapping, where I proved to be a very bad gift wrapper. But there's a moment where, of course, she's wrapping a present, and it comes out really bad, and Cord Overstreet is like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll fix it." And he's like, "Let me show you." And actually, he gives a good bit of advice, which is use as little paper as possible, which makes sense, because that's where you run into trouble. You run into trouble not when you're trying to cover up empty spots, but when you have, especially if it's like a circular thing, and you have that giant extra paper, and you're like, "What do I do? Do I just tie it in a knot?" No, you can't. I've tried.
Yeah.
But did you catch that, they have him wrapping, and the camera does this close up on his hands, and then another shot of the two of them, and then another shot of his hands as he wraps. Did they have to use stunt hands for Cord Overstreet?
Oh my God. It wouldn't surprise me, because you know what frustrates me? I think I've mentioned this before as well. In movies, I am 100% positive that no actor has ever folded laundry in their life.
Oh, well, that makes sense. Most actors are nepotism kids anyway, so why would they ever have folded their own laundry?
When you see an actor, they have to do busy work and they're folding laundry, it frustrates me. I'm like, you're just wadding it into a ball. Why are you even folding it?
That's kind of, I don't fold laundry, so I don't notice that specifically, but the idea is still true of other things.
Yeah. And the wrapping paper, too. I'm sure he's never wrapped a fucking gift in his life, Cord Overstreet.
And they had to call him the big guns. Do you think there's a stunt rapper that sits, in his look at Crazy Ralph, he's got a cabin somewhere, and most of the time he just sits in his rocker, maybe making his own moonshine, and every now and then it's on a phone. He wouldn't have a phone because he lives off grid, but the bell rings, and that means that somebody knows how to put the call in of we need smooth hands. Call smooth hands. Bring them in. Fly them.
I think either that's true or it's James Cameron just doing it. You know how he was the hands in Titanic, and he's the hands in every rapping film you've ever seen.
That's how he's financing his $300 million movies.
Yes, that's where all the Avatar
he has
money
a really
came from.
big fee to be the gift wrapping stunt hands.
Exactly.
Love it. All right, so we did our female lead in a lesson. Number 2 is our setting, which is either a big bad city, a charming small town, or a magical winter wonderland.
We have basically all of these, where I'd say the one hotel is the big bad city. It's so opulent and,
and nobody knows anybody.
And cold.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. That's basically a stand-in for a city.
That. And it's Christmas, but not there's a couple at one point who are in bikinis, because I guess they must have a heated pool or something.
Yeah.
So it's even that. It's it's not really Christmas here.
Exactly.
You're right. And then the charming small town is the inn where everybody knows everybody.
Well, the charming small town is the charming small town.
Yeah,
exists.
Right. Yes,
and it is very much like Gilmore Girls. Everybody knows everybody. The town mayor is everybody's best friend. There is a little town square where they all congregate.
Yeah, and yet there's no communication with the outside world. Otherwise, anybody might have known who this woman is. But
right.
And magical winter wonderland, because rules don't apply here, because head injuries mean something very different in this place.
Sure.
No. All right, so number 3 is the bland love interest.
Ooh. Ooh, in spades.
Mm-hmm. We actually have two, and we kind of have both. We have our poor little rich boy in Tad, and our widowed dad who works with his hands in Court. I think his name is Jake, but I mean, he's Court Overstreet. If your name is Court Overstreet, you have to accept that people will only ever refer to you as Court Overstreet.
I cannot look at him and not picture Puck, R.I.P. Well, not R.I.P., I guess, but sorry. Yeah, burn in hell, I guess, more appropriately. But Puck's character saying, like, man, that's a big mouth. I wonder how many pool balls he could fit in his mouth.
Trouty mouth. I forgot that about those lips. Yeah. So what do you think of him in this movie?
Perfectly adequate.
Yeah.
Like, bursting with adequacy.
Kind of like Riley on Buffy type thing, where I mean, he's cute. I think he can project, and I have no idea what he's like in real life, but he projects genuine nice guy on camera, which is a good thing to have for these movies.
Yeah. And I felt like he should be on a CBS, procedural.
Like multicam. Oh, you think a procedural, not a sitcom?
Procedural. No, I think he would do great on like a CSI or an NCIS or
something
IBC
where he's puts on like sunglasses. Maybe he's in a lab, but he doesn't work in the lab. He just goes to the lab, and the lab technician likes him, so they flirt a little bit, and that's how he usually gets pushed to the front of the line type thing. But
he has a dead wife who died mysteriously, and he's constantly He would be great at that. He is just adequate enough to have that role.
I get it. One thing I'll say about their romance. So do you think they had chemistry?
Almost. I thought they were really cute together. Yeah. I mean, I thought they're both charming in a way. Mm-hmm. And so I thought they were actually cute. I enjoyed watching them together. Yeah. Not going to lie.
Yeah. I won't disagree on that. I think the two of them worked well together. And something I really liked was that the ending of this movie, where he has come to the urging of his daughter to come and say, I love you, stay. She is actually.
How did he get there, Emily? Wait, how did he get there?
I forgot about the Christmas magic. We'll get to Christmas magic. That comes later.
Okay.
It's number 10. But that when he shows up, they're still both kind of being coy about it because they haven't gotten to not be coy. But I really like that it's her who gets to say basically I'm going to stay with you for Christmas. I hope that's cool. I'm into you. Because so many of these movies do kind of, now I don't watch The Bachelor or Bachelorette, but I did watch one season of The Bachelorette 10 years ago when it was, I don't know, the ones who were still married, the Trista and Ryan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was the only season I ever watched because my friends in college were watching it, so I did too. And something that I thought was ridiculous, and I think they do this every season, on The Bachelor, it's the dude picking the girl, so he gives them roses, and then at the final thing, my understanding of the show that I don't watch, that everybody else in the world does, the Bachelor proposes to the girl he wants to marry. The Bachelorette, at least the one season I watched 10 plus years ago, same exact thing. She's giving away roses. I think it's roses, or I don't know, mufflers, something mannish. Maybe. Right. But then she gets to the final episode, and rather than her saying, "Will you marry me, Ryan Firefighter? Will you not marry me, Charlie the other guy?" It's I'm going to come here and ask you to ask me to marry you. The guy had to propose. It wasn't her proposing.
Jesus Christ, ABC.
Right? It just, everything about that is but the whole point of the show, and I think it was still it was her making the choice, but it wasn't it was both of them had a ring and got down on their knee and were will you marry me? And the one guy she's yes, and the other guy she's no. It could, why would it not be her asking them to marry? And I get traditionalist, but no, the whole point of the show is her making that choice. So it's just that same thing, that same kind of very patriarchal attitude of the man always makes the first move is very prevalent in all of these movies. So it was very refreshing that the movie very explicitly has the woman be the one to make the call of, I'm into you, let's kiss.
Yeah, I love that. And also, it wasn't, let's get married, let's spend the rest of our lives together. Let's spend Christmas together.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe by New Year's, we're going to find out that, we just, have really different sexual appetites. So, yeah. Yeah.
I'm still rich as shit. I can leave whenever I want. Yeah. So, I'll spend a few days with you. Yeah, good for her.
Yep. That's refreshing. I'll take that, too. You're talking me around on this movie. You are very good at doing
that. Thank you. I love that.
All right, number 4 is montage. Did you notice any? Do you think this movie had montages?
Let me see. I think there was one.
There's a
There's
few.
the
There's more
other.
than
Oh,
one.
and there's
There's a
another
lot.
one. Oh, there's that one. There's that one. Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
many.
Tons.
Yep. We got like the opening is just a whole lot of establishing shots of the ski lodge. There's a cleaning montage. There's a learning how to clean montage. There's a Cordova Street singing on a guitar, which, I'm sorry, like, can you imagine not knowing who you are or what you are? And you're kind of like, it's like, okay, cool. This pretty nice guy has agreed to let me stay at his house until I figure out who I am. That's great. He's got a kid. Okay, that's fine. I like the kid. It's cool. It's great. They make good food. I'm fine. Oh, now they want to hang out. He just broke out the guitar. Oh God, he just broke out the guitar.
Oh dear God.
Would you not just run into the woods at that point?
Let me tell you, I had an ex-boyfriend who used to sing to me. He would sing at me with his guitar, and I wished I was dead. It was the worst feeling in the world.
Yeah.
I nearly jumped out of our 10th story window. I couldn't handle it anymore. I felt like just sitting there and watching somebody sing at you. Yeah. I felt like I needed a tambourine. I'm like, why am I here?
Wish you just like start like you grab like pencils and you start drumming, like hoping you're doing it right, and then like you just he
like,
takes his little hand and he puts it on yours and just goes no. There is and then again, multiple montages. This does have my second favorite type of montage. Do you know what my favorite type of montage is?
I'm trying. Oh, a clothes trying on montage.
Clothes trying on. I love a good trying on clothes montage. It's the best.
We share that.
Totally. So my second favorite, which is you'll find a lot in these movies where they are usually trying to really crank out the running time. It is we've reached the point in the movie where a character has made a like internal decision, and we're not a good enough movie to convey that without taking 30 seconds to do a montage of things that have happened in this movie, but with a foggy filter.
Yeah, over the last 90 minutes.
Yes.
Oh, remember
in case
yesterday?
You didn't remember. Exactly.
Remember 6 hours ago?
Doodly-doo. When he was playing the guitar. Yes. Oh, yes. My God, I'll never forget that. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So number 5 is our dead parents or dead wife. I don't know. Did you notice any in this movie?
There's a few.
Just a few. Everybody's got a dead mom. Everybody. Now we do too. So does every character in this movie.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And there's like a lot of dead mom speeches too, because like both Lindsay Lohan has one, and Cordova Street's wife, who obviously was mother to his daughter, is also dead. So there's like a lot of dead momming.
The little girl Ava, she has Ava, I think. She has a few.
Yeah, that's Ava. Yeah.
She has a few about how she misses her mom and what they used to do, and et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, there's
so
plenty.
Much of that. There's a whole lot of the whole like, oh no, don't touch that ornament. That was her ornament, and that stuff. And it's a whole lot of it. There's a lot. I wrote like sad music alert, so there must have been a lot of sad music, but I don't remember.
Yep.
Number 6 is our sassy sidekick.
That would be Tad, 100%. Boyfriend.
I mean, Tad is almost the villain, though. I think too. I think he's presenting. Well, he's an obstacle. I would have put the hotel assistant or the concierge as the sassy sidekick.
I just don't think he got enough screen time to be.
Possibly. Yeah.
Yeah, I would put Tad in the role, but I could be swayed. But either way, it definitely had something.
Yeah, I mean, this movie could have used more dangly earrings. I will say that.
Yeah.
Now, the evil woman or the villain, basically, usually a woman, sometimes a boss who's, obsessed with the bottom line. In this case, again, there's not, I guess Tad is kind of villainous in that he's in the way of love.
But mostly it's Jack Wagner, Beauregard. Mm-hmm. Beauregard Belmont.
It is, but it's not. And again, this is another thing.
He just wants to take care of his daughter.
Yeah. And he doesn't want to invest in Cordova Street's crappy hotel because he's a good businessman and he knows a failing business when he sees one.
Solid business decision, Beauregard.
But that's the thing. There's not enough bite to this movie. I don't know. I want arsenic poisoning in my movies now. I got spoiled.
But see, that's part of the reason I kind of like it. I love Ted Lasso because there's not really any pure villains on the show. I'm tired of just villains for villain's sake. I kind of like just people being nice to each other. It's nice to be nice.
I mean, yeah, and I guess that's why people come to these kinds of movies generally.
Yeah.
You're right. I
don't think you need villainy.
Okay.
You just need complex characters and interesting writing, which this almost had.
Jason, in the last movie, the villain tried to kill the male lead. That got me really excited that I was going to see more of that, and so far I have not.
But you're a much darker person, I think, than I am. You know, I always come back to talking about Megan is Missing, and I hate to even bring that up here on the Christmas episode.
This might be... I'm going to go out on a limb and say you are not going to find another hour of podcasting that discusses both Falling for Christmas and Megan is Missing.
Yeah, exactly. This is the mashup you've been not wanting.
I mean,
your
both
entire
are about
life.
missing women, so
true. But you told me about Megan is Missing. You're like, oh yeah, it was actually pretty good. I enjoyed it, and then I watched it, and it was the most traumatizing thing I had ever seen in my life.
I enjoyed being scared by it.
But I wasn't just scared; I was traumatized. I still have nightmares about that movie.
Well,
so I enjoy horror movies, but like, there's some bridges I will not cross, and that was one of them.
And, you know,
that's
why there are lots of movies like Falling for Christmas that generally don't involve being buried alive in barrels. But, again, the season is young. This is only movie number 2. I'm sure we might get there.
Candace Cameron Bure's network is coming out. Who knows what she's going to do?
Oh, my God. What if they do, like, a passion play type one? So, like, I wasn't, like, my thing, even before she released her statements, which she then tried to retract, I was already, like, scanning to see, like, okay, what are the movies that I'm interested in watching this year? I throw them on a big list and see who wants to do them and if I'm going to be able to watch them. And I was just weeding out. I was kind of going straight by, if I don't have that network, I'm skipping it. I don't have Apple TV, so, okay, anything on Apple, I'm not watching. Great American Family. No, that's Candace Cameron Bure's Christian bullshit. I'm skipping anything on that work. So I was already not into like anything she was doing there. But I mean, I will concede. If she does a movie where she's buried alive, I'm going to have to watch it.
100%.
Yeah.
Or if she does something like outwardly offensive and she's not just dog whistling this whole time, if she does one where like a gay man repents his sinful ways and goes back to his small town and finds his ex-girlfriend and like leads a straight and narrow life, I'm 100% watching that. And then starting a letter writing campaign about how we need to murder her.
Okay, I'm into it.
Yeah.
And then we'll make a Hallmark movie about it.
Yeah, and then we'll put her in a barrel.
Yeah. All right, number 8, slapstick.
Oh, plenty.
Yeah.
And it made me... when I was watching this with my roommate Melissa, like there were a couple scenes of that, and I like turned to her at one point, and I was like, "Slapstick is hard, Melissa. Not everybody can do it well." They
it is,
try.
Yeah. As I have said before, you know, there's the school of Bella Swan clumsiness that offends me as a very clumsy person. When it's just like, whoops, whoa, and they like slip on a banana peel that came out of nowhere type thing. And this is a lot of that. Like, it's very like, oh no, she's carrying hot chocolate and he's walking by, bump, and it's like a teeny smidge of hot chocolate gets on her. Like, there's that kind of thing. I wrote down Tad tries to kill the hotel concierge. I guess like he snowmobiles like and just like won't stop. He's like, no, move, and the guy's like, no, I'm standing here, and he just like does like there's brakes on the thing, and he just seems like, so that's why at first I think I thought, oh, Tad's the villain because he's like genuinely trying to murder people. There's a raccoon scare, a lot of falling down hills, a lot of cooking fails.
The second most romantic scene of any film on celluloid ever was when Ralph the Crazy Mountain Man throws Tad the axe and Tad catches it. Oh,
yeah.
That was some great slapstick and romantic.
There was a lot of tension in that moment.
Yeah. Oh, you know, that's a lot of metaphor. Like
Definitely.
Throwing your axe into somebody.
And whether they receive it.
Exactly.
And a lot of cleaning fails. But it's like, again, like, you could have a cleaning fail and it'd be funny, but it's just very much of,
we need more Bleak.
Yeah.
You know, and like that's funny when somebody doesn't know how to do laundry and tries to do laundry. That's another thing they could have done where Lindsay Lohan's character tries to clean and she's never done it before and she thinks she's doing a good job. Let me also say that, you know, again, Lindsay's fine. It kind of amazes me that everybody thought she was such a talented young actress because she's an okay actress. We're seing that now. But,
I will say, though, when she was younger, there was something very exciting about her. And and I'll call like the you know, probably like her 3 best movies are Parent Trap, where like she has range, she's doing an accent. Mean Girls, where again, like, a different actor in that role would have made that whole movie, I think, a little bit less interesting.
Sure.
And Freaky, which is a delight from beginning to end. And if you have not rewatched Freaky in a while, please do, because it is a joy. And she's very good.
One of those movies that I had laughed so hard, I thought I might die when I watched that movie. It got me so hard.
I can see it. I
love that movie.
Mm-hmm.
But, in this case, she's fine. But, it made me think of Rachel Green, Jennifer Aniston, kind of playing a very similar character on Friends. And
sure.
It made me think of when she made the trifle. We all know when Rachel made the trifle, she was proud of herself. She was like, I am doing this. I am independent, and I'm making this dessert work. She fucked it up like a spoiled rich girl might, but that was the funny part. That's what this movie needed, more of that. Like spoiled rich girl trying to do good. It's just crazy that Lindsay Lohan was kind of immediately great at everything.
Well, and it's interesting.
She struggled for a minute.
Yeah, but that you say that about Jennifer Aniston, because I think it is like we forget sometimes. Like I wasn't the biggest Friends fan. I kind of respect it. Like I look at it and I'm like, oh no, I can see why.
Yeah.
But what it comes down to is like they're great, and when you compare somebody like Lindsay Lohan's performance in this movie, and you think about it in those terms of like, well, think of what she's doing. She's kind of playing a very Rachel Green character, but think of how good Jennifer Aniston was without you realizing how good she was. Like there's an art to it and a skill to it. And I think it's really obvious in this. Like, I feel like Lindsay Lohan she's not giving a performance, she's just going to work.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It feels like she's on her best behavior. Like, for if you don't remember, everybody, like, there was an era when she could not work because movies would not insure her to work.
Yeah.
That her tabloid exploits were so dramatic and she was so unreliable that the whole thing was not, is she going to give a good performance? It was, no, is she going to come to set at her call time? Right. And this movie just feels like she just wanted to make sure everybody, like, she probably, like, bought lunch for the crew every day, and that's fine. I'm glad you're maybe in a better place, but I want you to still give a good performance. Yeah, give a little edge. Yeah, I think that a little edge helps. And I've always said that I feel like such a jerk saying that Jennifer Aniston deserves more respect and admiration. But, like one of the most famous people in the world and one of the richest people in the world deserves more. But I think people think she's beautiful and she was funny. She's a goddamn genius comedic actress. Yeah. I agree.
And that's, you really notice that when you see a character playing something very similar who just can't quite nail it.
Yeah.
It takes a very special person to be able to do that.
Yes, and to do it in a way where you don't realize how good they are, how hard they're working, because it isn't a huge performance compared to, let's say, Lisa Kudrow, who's playing a very daffy character that's much more obvious that it's a performance.
Sure.
Whereas Jennifer Aniston, like, if she gives interviews, she sounds a lot like Rachel, but it's very clear that no, that's not her. She had crafted that character so specifically. Yeah, and if that is her, if there are parts of her own character, people have to always remember, too, it is not easy to play yourself on camera. Mm-hmm. To portray a version of yourself. That's difficult. People don't know themselves well enough. So I think she deserves more respect for that. Yeah. And I think that Lindsay was just out of her range in this movie. I think a better actress I'm picturing it as a better movie with a better actress. Now, on that note, I guess, moving on to, I was going to say, like, a better performance in the movie, but, like, no, it's the kind of performance that everybody is giving in every one of these performances. Our sage old person. Mm-hmm. What do you yeah. She was nothing. She was a nothing character. I'm sorry. Alejandra, the mother-in-law, grandmother, who's just there to, like, be really cool with this woman who's going to be her new daughter-in-law and replace her daughter. Like, right? Essentially. Basically. Yeah, no, she's there as the person who occasionally dispenses wisdom, but it's boring. And that's the other thing, too, like, I think, Kekoa Shaw, thankfully, like, gives the movie zest, but, like, you needed more zest throughout. Exactly. You needed zest in the inn. You had zest in the hotel. You didn't have it in the inn. Yeah. There was a lot you could have done with that character. There could have been cultural differences between the family, with her living with, like, her white in-law that, was raised one way and she was raised in a different culture. They could have brought that in a little bit. They could have brought her, like, moving from wherever she was originally from to this mountain town in the middle of nowhere. Where she has to apparently run the hotel and answer the phone and write reservations down by hand because this hotel doesn't have a fucking computer system.
Yeah, there was a lot you could have done with her, and they did nothing.
Yes.
It's not the actress's fault. It's not the little girl's fault that I hated
We're gonna
her
get back.
character.
We're gonna get to her. Don't worry. Don't worry. We'll get to
yeah,
her.
Nobody's fault.
No. Well, when in doubt, you could always blame number 10, Santa Claus.
And I'm gonna let me frickin' tell you.
I got really excited that we had Santa Claus and that we had him so early because a lot of these movies, like, they used to always end with Santa Claus. It was like a totally normal, like, I'm a doctor and I moved to a small town and everything's normal until the last scene when suddenly it's like, oh, and I married Santa's son. Like, they used to be like that. We're just a normal movie. I entered a baking competition. Oh no, it's hard to bake. Oh no, we only have 2 minutes left in the movie. Oh, there's Santa Claus. Like, that's what they used to do. And lately they don't do that. They don't have Santa Claus in these movies.
Yeah. And we saw him early, and it was the most terrifying thing I've ever seen on film. What was that?
Could you describe what was so Megan is missing about this Santa Claus?
There was some uncanny valley shit happening with his face.
Yeah.
It didn't look like a real human. Like, they added the ruddiness to his face. And this actor was obviously, he doesn't look like that. It's one thing to cast like an old fat guy who has gray hair and a beard. Like, I can come do it if you need somebody. Like, I am free. Don't cast somebody who doesn't have those features and then try to make it. It was just uncanny valley. That's what I experienced. That weird thing of like, something's not right. And I feel disturbed. I hated his face more than anything.
I definitely wasn't quite as bothered as you were, but it was there was something wrong about it. I agree. Yeah. But like, he's real in this movie, and he grants wishes and makes magical sleds and stuff. And I did have a moment where I wanted to talk to you specifically about it because so the little girl, like, Santa's like, you can ask me for a wish and don't tell anybody and I'll make it come true, and she writes down her wish, and it seems like it's a really, like, serious thing, and I don't know about you, but I was thinking, like, oh, the direction this movie could go in was that if she asked, okay, one could have been like, I want a new mommy, and it would have been like, oh, look, you got a new mommy, kid.
Right.
What I wanted it to be was, I wish my mother came back. And then for it to be, I forget the episode's name, but like the episode after Joyce, spoiler alert, Buffy season 5, the episode after Joyce dies where Dawn, like, tries to bring her back to life.
Yes.
And you get the sense of, like, oh my God, we don't want to see Joyce like this. It's going to be zombie Joyce. Like, I wanted that, but it's not that kind of movie.
And it would be great if it was at the end of the film after Lindsay and him got together, they're cozied up in front of the fireplace, and you just see an image of a person walk by the window very slowly. And the girl reveals that she wished to have her mother back. And then you hear a slow knock on the door.
I like
Smash cut to credits.
Yes. I was thinking more that she was living out in the woods with Ralph also, and then she finally makes her way back. So then it's more like when Marlena was kidnapped by Stefano, but then comes back and it's like, oh, you're with Isabella now. What's up with that? So, yeah.
Or she's like Mama out in the woods, and she, like, kidnaps that little girl and raises her on peach pits.
Oh, or whatever. God. I could go with that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're right. There are so many better movies when you do it that way. It's so much more fun. All right, so now we get to the bonus round, all those little extras that show up in these movies. Number one being the absurdly unlimited use of public domain holiday songs. And again, like, I'm not specifically, like, deck the halls to decorating. Yes, there is. Jingle bells to action. Yes, there is, like, twice. Yep. Like, I think it's both, like, the sled racing and also the Christmas party. But here's the thing about this movie. It's Netflix. They have money.
Yeah. They got real ass songs in this movie.
Like, they have, I think, Jingle Bell Rock, which obviously is also like a Mean Girls reference.
Yes.
Like, every one of these movies, it's like, we wish you a Merry Christmas because it's free and anybody could sing it and you can find a recording of it somewhere. This fucking movie has the nerve to show off the fact that they spent money to have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas play.
Oh, were you offended by that?
See, I love that song. It's like my favorite
Christmas
song. But it's very like, excuse me. What is there? It's, I don't know if you watched when Amazon did, like, they've done it now like 4 seasons and nobody seems to be talking about it or watching it. Tim Gunn and Heidi Klum left Project Runway to do the Amazon show. I think they're making the cut. Or Next in Fashion. I don't remember whichever one it was, but it's not very good. what is very funny about it is how Amazon is clearly showing off that they spent a lot of money on music rights. So every single shot of this reality show is like a song I don't know, but everybody else does. And like just crammed in there in really awkward ways. And this movie felt a little bit like that of like, oh, you thought we were going to sing Three Wise or Good King Wenceslashes, but instead we got Bing Crosby, baby. Like it just felt a little bit, I don't know, what's the word? Boastful, little,
Oh, okay.
you know?
Yeah, just like opulent, like look at all the money we have. We
like,
can do what we want.
The music budget for this movie is probably the entire budget for all 75 Hallmark movies this year. Like it's a lot.
Lindsay's concierge alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree, but I enjoyed it. I'm not gonna lie. I love seeing like real ass music in a movie. I thought it was exciting.
I really like fake ass music. I like when it's just somebody that's like, "Hey, can you make a Christmas song in like 5 minutes?" Sure. Sleigh rides, icicles, Santa Claus,
That's what they
Rudolph.
are,
No,
too.
you can't say Rudolph. Okay, reindeer. Yeah.
It's like those songs, they're just naming stuff. I see that a lot in Lifetime movies.
Yep.
They're like candy canes and Christmas time and snow trees and love yourself. And
Pine cones everywhere.
Yes. They're all a lot of like Linda Belcher songs, like Stream of Consciousness singing.
Love it. Yeah, like I just prefer that. Like it's slick. I think that's the thing about Netflix Christmas movies that doesn't speak to me as much. Is they're very slick. They have real actors in like real clothing singing real songs, and it just for me feels a little like you know you're better than us, I guess.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of
I see.
music in this, and like not even like songs, but the first like 20 minutes of this, I'm like, there's not been a moment where there isn't background music playing loudly.
I noticed that as well. And a lot of times that annoys me. Here it didn't so much, but I noticed it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you notice it, then it's a mistake.
Yeah, yes, very much. So number 2 is our secret family recipe, which we actually don't... Did we get that?
We have to go back, though. I mean, are we, under the sexy version of anything? I know there wasn't a sexy song necessarily, but there was that boob-tacular dress. Does that fit in here?
Oh,
are we talking anything sexy, or is it just
I mean,
songs?
we can. Like, yeah, I don't usually put fashion on here unless it really speaks outside of the list, because then I get my hopes up. Then I'm like, ooh, how many different coats is Vanessa Hudgens going to wear in this movie?
Right.
And again, like, because Netflix, they're like, yeah, people really like the coats. So whatever money we don't spend on Christmas songs, spend on coats.
Yeah.
And in this one, we do actually get some pretty good looks from Lindsay, I'd say.
Sure. I loved that first red outfit that he spills the cocoa on.
Yeah, with the big sleeves. It's very
sleeves.
Barbie. It's
Oh,
very
God,
like Barbie
yes.
Ski Lodge, which I appreciate.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
But that boob-tacular dress, I have a feeling at the end that jacket she wears with it was not originally in the script. And they were just like, ooh, we cannot show this. Because she was busting out all over the place.
And it's a gift from her potential future mother-in-law, which is a little weird, right?
And it fit perfectly.
But it wasn't like it seemed like she bought it for her, right? Like it didn't seem like it was this is my dead daughter's dress. Like
I thought it was. I had a memory that it was. Is it not?
I don't know. She doesn't say it is, and it's in like a gift wrap box as if it's new.
Oh, I might be
can't
getting my
decide
movies
which is
confused.
weirder. If it's weirder to have gone out when clearly the whole point is that your family doesn't have money. If it's weirder to have gone out to a store and bought a new very sexy dress for this woman who you think has feelings for your son-in-law, or if it's weirder to be like, I don't know, my daughter looked hot in this one, so maybe you will too. I don't know which is more awkward, but they both seem strange.
Oh yeah, shit, that is a toss-up.
I know. Yeah.
But she puts the jacket on over it too, and it doesn't look as good. But when she came down the stairs, I got to say, Lindsay Lohan still banging.
Yeah,
still
she's
got
great.
a banging body. She looks
does.
great. Yeah, good for her.
Now, number 3 is our small business in danger, which we do obviously get.
Sure, boy, howdy do we.
Well, and again, like, finally, when they start getting... Well, first off, so it's like, okay, we're going to have a fundraiser. And this fundraiser means people have to physically come to this place and bring their checkbooks and write checks to you. And
On
put the
Christmas
checks in a
Eve.
bag. And also, like... Because as he's handing out things, he's like, "Oh, I know you probably have plans." Like, you think? Who doesn't? Who's not wrapping presents terribly on Christmas Eve?
Right.
Yeah. Like,
And everybody shows up. Even
everybody
the gay
shows
couple.
Up. Yeah.
Did you see the gay couple in pajamas?
Yeah.
Very
So
subtle.
cute.
Good for them.
Yeah.
But, going back even before that, too, there was that scene, like right at the beginning, before Lindsay even comes to stay with him, when Cord Overstreet pulls up, and one of his, people who works there is like, "Hey, the snowmobile is broken again." And he's like, "I'll come fix it." It's very much like, it reminded me of that scene in Burlesque where they come and they hand share all of those outfits. They're like, "Hey, these all need to be him." And she's carrying out like, "Oh, I got to do everything myself. Poor Cher." And they just lay it on thick that, like, man, this guy is struggling, just keeping his head above water barely every day, just like Cher.
Now, man, again, on the topic of how to make this movie better and the better movie in our heads that are elevating it today, man, motherfucking air rights. This movie could have ended with air rights, and it would have been a better finale than A Christmas Party.
Everything's better with air rights.
Everything's better with air rights. Damn it.
I agree.
Yeah. So, okay, small business in danger, because Alejandra is the only one that works there, and she has to make every reservation by phone.
Right.
All right, so next thing is product placement. And there is, and this is something every Netflix Christmas movie does.
What is it?
Every Netflix Christmas movie, product places Netflix Christmas movies.
Netflix, that's right! I did notice that when we watched.
Now, and sometimes they get really, really... they start to get like world building, portal, like third dimension things, like barriers breaking, because you have like Vanessa Hudgens watching a movie that Vanessa Hudgens is in, and it's very confusing. But in this case, it's just there's actually a great jump scare where Lindsay Lohan presses a button and the Netflix boom sound comes on, and I'm not gonna lie, it made me jump, because it's like every time I turn to that on a my TV, it's too loud, and it always, like, I'm a jumpy person when it comes to noises. And the same thing happens here. And I think in this case, it's A Castle for Christmas that she's watching, which I have not actually seen. That's the Brooke Shields one from last year.
That's the Brooke Shields. See, I think I watched that the other night, and I think that's where I got confused, because in that movie, they do give Brooke Shields the dead wife's dress.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I think I got it confused in my head.
Yeah, it's tough. I think I've said I have to be really careful about how I watch these, and when I, like... The worst thing anyone can do is like, "Hey, we're going to record on Friday." Great. And then instead it's like, "Oh no, we have to record 3 days later." I'm like, "Oh no, I'll have to watch 2 movies in between. I won't remember anything because they'll all get mixed up in my head."
Exactly what I did. Exactly what I did.
Except, no, you were
so
safe because
sorry.
it was only 24 hours. We got through it. I only watched one in between, and it was very different, so I didn't get confused.
Okay,
but that's the problem, is sometimes they are so similar, especially if you're doing the same network, right? So a Netflix royal movie and a Netflix, like, Richie movie are both going to have the same feeling. And, again, dead wives, so it's going to be very easy to mix them up. So that's why you got to be careful. Very easy to mix them up.
Yeah, that's right. Because, that Brooke Shields movie was like almost every other one I've ever seen, except they had a mute gay bear. Ooh. And I was like, all right, good. Representation. Okay, that's something. Look at you. Yeah. Anyway.
We know this one had Our Cloying Child.
Oh, gross.
Oh, God. No, again, whenever we get to here, I have to preface, like, no offense to the actor. I'm not blaming a young child actor who is being directed to do something.
Yes.
I hated this kid, too.
Me, too. Stop smiling.
Oh, my God.
Stop smiling.
Oh, my God. I wrote in all caps, "This girl smiles very hard."
Oh, she drove me crazy.
Oh, and, like... She's perfect. Like, it's just like she's always smiling. She's always happy. She's always helpful. She likes everybody. Everybody likes her. Fuck you, kid. No. Not for me. No.
Yeah. And, okay, in the essence of making it a better movie, give her a little something other than just being a precocious child. Yeah. Give her a little struggle to try to stay happy to keep her father going. Yeah. She sees that her father's struggling, so she's trying to take care of her dad. Little bit of that, just a touch of it. Yeah, just a line or two would have been great. Yeah. Like, she's like, "I see that my dad's not happy, and he's only happy when I'm happy, so I stay happy." That line.
Oh, I like that. Even though I'm dying inside. Yeah, what a better movie right there. Yeah.
Exactly. I don't want to talk, like you said, I don't want to talk about the actress, but I think it would have
not blaming the kid. Yeah.
She's
Blame
great.
the character.
I'm
Yes.
sure she's a lovely little girl.
Yes.
But you know who would have been better? The kid from the end of Wakanda Forever. I don't know if you've seen it, but
I have
he
not.
is one of the cutest little kids I've ever seen in my life. And I want him to be in everything now. He needs to be a huge star.
Okay.
Fell in love with this kid.
You heard
so
it here
cute.
first.
Yes.
Number 6 is a character with a holiday theme name. I guess we don't really have one here.
Don't. No.
Yeah, no.
Not a thing. I
Surprising,
tried to
actually.
make some work.
No.
Because,
no.
like, Ava, I was like, Ave Maria? No, that's nothing. That is nothing.
No,
So
no. Finding the perfect tree, we don't have, but we do have the perfect tree topper with a backstory.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the place was already decorated to shit. Like, every place was decorated very holiday themed. I mean, they had a little decorating montage, but there were a lot of decorations in this movie.
And again, like, it's one of those things where you're like, oh yeah, Netflix spent money to make sure this was always decorated. Usually, like, you can tell, like, oh no, everything's hanging on by a string, and once they cut it, like, it's a set that you just, it's like a recycled set.
Right.
All right, number 8, ridiculously elaborate holiday cocktails. I don't think we really had any.
No.
No. Number 9, empty coffee cup acting.
There was a lot of cocktail mockery, I think. I don't remember the coffee so much, but at the party, there was a lot of empty cocktail cups.
Yes. There was empty cocoa cup acting early on.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Actors trying very hard to take a bite out of something on camera without actually eating.
Didn't see it.
I didn't write down specifics, but there's a lot of bites of stuff where we don't actually see, like, it's like Lindsay again, I don't know, Lindsay Lohan, whatever her character's name is. Like, there's like a running, like, joke about bacon, how she's like, oh, I don't eat bacon. And then when she, like, gets a head injury, she's like, I don't know, maybe I do eat bacon. And she, quote unquote, eats bacon. And it's very clear that, like, she puts a piece of bacon in her mouth and then they cut elsewhere. And the same happens to 3 other characters. So.
Okay. Yeah. I guess Tad didn't really eat that stew that they made. Or the beans.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, he loved that stew and thought it was the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah. Oh, they bonded over stew. God, I want them to get together so bad.
11 Canadianisms or obvious tells that it was not filmed on location. I would just fold that in this case with number 12, which is our warm weather watch. I don't know where they actually filmed this. It's probably like Georgia or one of those like tax write-off cities where they film everything. Definitely not anywhere where it was below 60 degrees, I'm going to say.
You think? I didn't notice that. I'm looking on IMDb right now to see where they filmed this. Filming locations. Oh, my good Lord. Oh, okay, now. Utah. Park City, Utah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So it actually was filmed in cold weather. Yeah, because
but it was probably filmed in June.
Probably.
Like, when they're outside, they're, like, wearing, like, a vest, and it's snowing.
Sure.
And, a lot of CGI snow, I think, or, like, I'm sorry. We didn't talk about this. We talked about fashion a little bit. So Lindsay Lohan has a head injury. She can't remember her name. She can't remember why she doesn't like bacon. She can't remember how to make a bed.
Mm-hmm.
She remembers how to do her hair in how would you describe that? Like the most perfect, elaborate, complicated updo one can imagine.
Right. We talked about this when we watched this movie. Like, what is it called? Amnesia. Amnesia is so weird how you can't remember who you are, but you remember, how to eat and how to poop and how to do some stuff. But like, where does the line end for amnesia?
Right.
It's so weird.
Well, it's just not real the way movies.
Well, true. True. That's a good point. Yeah. I guess I'm talking specifically about movie amnesia. What do you forget? Like, you forget how to drive a car?
I mean, ultimately, it comes down to you're not going to forget anything that's going to make you unattractive. So you're going to remember how you did your makeup, and you're going to remember how you did your hair. Those are important.
You're going to remember to put those tape things on your eyes to pull your skin back a little bit.
You're going to remember to pluck your eyebrows, like all the important things. Yeah. That's pretty much everything. There is a gag reel at the end. I wonder how you felt about that.
What is my favorite thing in the world, Emily?
Is it a gag reel?
It's bloopers, specifically bloopers. I love them so much.
Like, were these I was excited when it started, and then I was disappointed when I realized it was not going to be funny for me.
No, I still was excited that they did it. but it takes charisma to pull off good bloopers. Some of the greatest bloopers in film history, one of my favorites is the first Charlie's Angels. The few bloopers they throw in at the end of Charlie's Angels when Drew Barrymore is having helmet problems, serious helmet problems. And, just little things like that. It takes charisma to pull off a good blooper. And I don't think that necessarily Lindsay Lohan still has it, unfortunately.
I thought Jack Wagner did.
Yeah,
he has one or two really funny. That was probably the only times I laughed in the movie outside of Kekoa Shaw.
Pointing out the muscular guy pulling focus.
It's like, this guy's pulling focus. But yes, it was very funny.
Yeah. So I love bloopers. No matter what I get, I love them. Even if they're not great, I just love that they exist.
Well, good. So overall, do you recommend Falling for Christmas, the Lindsay Lohan one, not the ice skating one?
Let me say, I 100% do. Just go in and picture it as a better movie. And you're going to love it so much.
I think by the end of this conversation, I like it more than I did while I was watching it.
I'm so happy to hear that. It's a fun movie. It really is. So here I think is what my problem was. I think I watched the first half, sitting down, for breakfast, before work. And then I finished the second half at the gym on the elliptical. And the problem was that meant I had nowhere to go but this movie. Whereas the first half, I also had a bowl of cereal and I had, my phone next to me. I wasn't beholden to just stare at this movie and only absorb it. And when I, the equivalent of sitting down in a theater and only watching the movie, which for me was in the gym where the only thing I'm doing is my eyes are going on the screen, that's where it started to feel rough for me because it wasn't interesting enough. The energy wasn't high enough to keep me from thinking, how much longer is this movie? But I think without that, as a background, this is perfectly fine. Yes. 100 have your phone when you're watching this movie. Don't just sit and stare at it.
Yes, 100. Wrap presents while you watch this movie and see if you can learn some tricks about less paper. And James Cameron's stunt hands.
That's exactly. I had my phone. We were kind of chatting through it, my roommate and I ended up really, really enjoying it, and I recommend it wholeheartedly.
I do think there are some things about this that are refreshing and new and slightly, I don't know, that feel cool, that you have a bisexual character, you have just some other touches that make this a little bit less, tight sweater Hallmark-ish, which I appreciate. This is steps in the right direction. I wish it had more bite, but I will see your point of it had other things that do kind of elevate it.
Yeah, and Kekoa Shaw, I'm glad that actor is working. That's not his name, but whatever his name is, I'm glad he's working. And he elevated it for me. I thought his performance was fantastic. It's worth watching just for
MVP,
him.
I would say.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, so where can people find you, Jason, if they want to tell you about the better movie they saw in their head?
Well, I'm actually going to bring things down a little bit. I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to be a little serious right now. The events over the weekend really affected me, and I'm sure it affected a lot of you, and I'm talking about what happened in Colorado Springs specifically. I wouldn't recommend you follow me on Twitter unless you just want to see an angry faggot just retweeting angry messages about LGBTQ rights. But
which you should, because everybody should see that right now.
Thank you. So follow me at Fozzie Bare, FOZZIEBARE. And I want to give a little shout out to my company. I work for Blue Pearl. It's a veterinary hospital. And I've talked to the president of my company, and I've talked to some other leaders in the company, and we're going to start doing an LGBTQ outreach. Instead of having this impotent rage that I felt over the last couple of days about these events and not being able to do anything, I finally started to channel that into some action. So I'm taking steps at my job to do some outreach and some good. So that's my advice to everybody this holiday season. And I know politics are frustrating. Do a little bit of good. Don't just be angry and frustrated that you don't feel like you can make a change. Make the smallest change within your house, within your company, within your friend circle, within your city, and feel better about yourself and help other people. That's all I want anybody to do this holiday season.
I love it. And what better way to think about the season and to give back and to care. So
Absolutely.
You're my hero.
And I love you, Emily. You are my hero. You're one of my favorite people.
Oh, I'm just falling for Christmas Jason right now.
I'm so happy we got to do this.
Same. All right, everybody.
Right.
So go heat up a bowl of beans, follow Jason, care about the world, do good things, and we'll see you back next time with another Cozy Cardigan Christmas special.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Have yourself fun. Oh, no, we might get sued.
No, we can't. That's a good point. Stop it there.
And I don't. But she
do you sing?
I've sung a tune or two. Do you want to sing now?
No, don't.
Just a little bit.
No.
Just a little bit.
No.
Just a tiny bit.
Okay, let me just tell you something, people. They promised they would not do this to me. I mean, Matt, who's my pre-interviewer? You especially. What do you want to sing?
Just a little something.
Would you sing with me?
Yeah, what do you want to sing?
I've got a crush on you.
I don't know that one.
Oh, yes, you do.
Go ahead, start it. Maybe I do.
I've got a crush on you, sweetie pie. All the days and night times, hear me sigh. The world may pardon my mush, but I've got a crush, my baby, on you.